everyone, my name is Jo. I love to read, and because I love to read, at one stage I loved to write. This is going to be my February writing update. I still do enjoy writing. I wouldn't say that I loved it at the moment, or maybe I do. I'm not really sure. I'll have to work on that intro for future writing videos. I probably would love to write again if I prioritized it enough. I'll leave a link up above to my writing journey so far video that I did as a bit of a recap of my writing after I came back to booktube this second time to update you guys on it. But I actually do have some stuff to talk about to actually do a writing update. I'm not going to do one every month unless I start writing consistently again, but I had enough that I felt like doing this video. The main thing that I've been working on is a non-fiction project with my grandparents. I'm actually typing up my grandpa's memoirs, and that's been a lot of fun because I'm learning so much about him. At the moment I'm mainly up to the bit where Pa is a young kid. We've just done this bit where he's gone through school and he's getting his first job at around about mid-teens, I think, something like that. And that's very interesting. I'm learning a lot about him as a person and what he was like when he was young, and eventually I'm going to be learning more about my grandma as she gets introduced to the story and we learn a lot more about her as well, which is coming up very soon. She just made her first introduction to the story. My grandpa apprenticed at a plumbing place, and his first job was actually at the drapery shop where my grandma worked. So even though at the time they didn't really know each other, that was something that had always stuck out to him, that his very first job he happened to have worked on the shop and probably met, even though briefly, his eventual wife. So that was pretty cool and interesting. I'm not doing a lot of actual writing myself, I'm just typing it up. My grandpa has been writing out stuff by hand in a journal, and then I come over. I was doing this once a week to begin with until the wedding planning stuff started taking over, and just, you know, it's hard to sometimes stick to the one afternoon a week. But when I do come over, I'll come over, my grandma makes me a cup of tea in this same little cute puppy dog mug that matches like this puppy dog tray that she fills up with biscuits for me and my grandpa to eat, and we all go and sit down at their dining table. I start typing things up, reading his book as I'm going and typing that, and then I might ask any questions that I'm not understanding or anything that I feel I might want clarification on. I haven't started editing it anything consistently yet, so the goal is just to do a bit of a family self-published book. It's not something that we're ever going to sell, but because I know a little brief bit and have the knowledge to find out more about the self-publishing platform, I am quite confident that I'll be able to produce it into a book, even if it's not for sale, just something or a few copies that we can enjoy within the family. There's also a similar sort of thing that one of my grandpa's relatives did that I haven't read yet, but I have here with me, so I need to go through and read, and that'll give me some insights into a part of the book where we meet his cousins, because it's about them and their parents. So I need to go through and read that and get up to date with that. But that is the eventual goal with that. And I did feel a little bit of pressure on me to begin with in terms of editing. I felt like I needed to make it like amazing, or I don't really know, without actually appreciating that it's amazing as it is and that it doesn't actually need a lot of editing at all. My grandpa has a really good way of putting his voice into the story, and so I don't want to get rid of that by rewriting and changing everything. And I can actually imagine him saying a lot of these phrases and expressions, and I don't want to lose that because of being a heavy-handed editor. So I think I was feeling a bit like, you know, I was putting a different cap on and feeling like I had to do things a certain way. And even though I haven't actually picked up editing again, I'm pretty much just going to correct spelling, if there's any ways that like the sentence is structured that's really confusing or like clunky, then I may change that, but I doubt I will need to, because Pa is actually really good at phrasing himself. And then the only other thing will be if, because he's writing out by hand, he'll have written like, you know, something from age 5 and then have done all of that and then be on to age 6, and then he'll suddenly remember something from 5 and then he'll be like, oh well, you need to put that bit back then, and doing it on a computer. Obviously I can do that. He's not quite as detailed to have memories from like every age, that was just an example, but he might have moved on and then remembered something, and that's when I'm going to pick it up and put it where it should go. So that was an interesting learning experience, and I still kind of want to do some research on family memoirs, but I feel like, yeah, as long as I just come into this not heavy-handed, all I'm there is to fix spelling, fix any things that don't make sense, or instead of fix, just get clarification on them so that I know the best way to do it, and then we're good, we're done. And this is something that my family will be able to enjoy for this generation and the previous and generations to come, and I'm really looking forward to having that work finished. And the only other writing update I'll give people is that I'm feeling a little niggle to do fiction projects again. I don't quite want to commit to editing. Watch my writing update, my writing journey so far. I'll link it again if you haven't seen it. But basically I had this idea and wrote outlines for a 4-part fiction, fantasy, paranormal, new adult romancy kind of series. And I wrote 2 books in it. And then I tried to work on the first book as much towards my goal of publication, but I couldn't get it there. And well, I mean, I don't know if I haven't got it there or not. I don't know whether it's not good enough, because I submitted to one place and got a rejection, and I don't want to say necessarily that it was that rejection that stopped me from writing, because I did come back to it at various stages, but I just haven't stuck to it, and I haven't prioritized it, and I haven't wanted to. I feel like I maybe burnt myself out with that, and I also studied TAFE a lot in the evenings for a year, and that was like the year that we also, like the whole calendar month that we moved into the house. And so like learning to upkeep a house for the first time, learning to be around each other all the time for the first time, having a full-time job still, studying at TAFE, and then like continuing to fiction, write and edit my fiction at a part that for me is really difficult. I'm someone that finds writing first drafts really easy, and provided I can get out of the funk of this is not good enough, I find it easy, because you're not being faced with, is my work good enough yet? That was the part that I found really difficult, and I suppose what I've stopped at is that I wrote it all out. I'd edited it like, you know, probably 10 times by this point, but it still wasn't good enough. And I know sometimes some manuscripts and some writers are never good enough, but generally if you keep writing and don't stop, it's like any other skill, that you should be able to get a workable manuscript that at least someone will find worthwhile, like some kind of place will pick it up, even if for whatever reason it doesn't get published, like if you get an agent but they're not able to market it, it's not the right time or whatever in the publishing industry, hence, you know, I suppose self-publish, that's what you could go to from there. So I don't really feel like I don't really feel like necessarily I'm a bad writer or something like that. Just more that I stopped because I was at a time in my life where I had to prioritize. I was kind of forced to make more adult choices than what I ever had before, and the writing is what I chose not to prioritize. I don't quite know if I'm at a space in my life now. I don't feel ready to write again every day or to make some kind of commitment to wanting to be published again, but I still have feelings for those characters that I came up with in that 4-part series, and even though it's like they've gone on a vacation from my head, it's like they're coming back, or they're telling me that they're wanting to move back. Like, I I don't know, I just feel a connection to them again, or like I never lost it, but I just feel like they're wanting to be hung out with again or something like that. I think if I was to find a catalyst moment for that, it's that I went to the petrol station one day and I had one of these like awkward like social interaction moments where I was like looked up at the cashier and then went, oh God, don't look, like as you're driving up to the petrol bowser, and I'm like, just don't look, and I'm like, for some reason it popped into my head, be like, where would be a situation where someone was to look at them and wave? And then I was like, oh, maybe if like, you know, Jenny was working there or something, or you had like a romantic or a friendship relationship with someone, you'd wave at them and be like, hey. And then that popped into my head, this scene from the third book that I haven't written yet, but that I have seen clearly in my head, about when one of the main characters sees someone that he never ever expected to see again, and he just looks up and there they are and he's just blown away. And that just like took me back to this world and all of my nostalgia, and I haven't been able to, I think that was a couple of months ago, and I haven't written anything, but I haven't been able to shake the feeling. I sort of still think about them every now and then, and what I've come up with is I am very, very, very heavy I may decide to casually start writing the first draft of the third book, because like I said, I've written the first and I've edited it like 10 rounds. I've written the second. I don't know if I've edited that at all. Haven't written any of the third or the fourth, but I do have an outline for the third, so maybe I will do some writing. I don't really know. Sometimes on the weekend or even in the evenings I get to the point where I don't want to read, or I've already read and I've already done a video, like I'm not behind on booktube, I don't feel like playing a game or watching telly, and I'm a bit like, what should I do? And that normally does result in telly. But like I could read in those, I could write in those moments. So, I don't know. I'm not ready to commit, but the feelings are there. So that's my February writing update. I don't know if I'll be back here next March, like next month in March, in a couple days, but who knows? Who knows? Do any of you guys that follow me write? Or do you just love reading? How do you balance that? That's always been an issue for me, and something that I am scared about doing if I get back into writing, that I won't read as much and then I won't do booktube, but I really enjoy booktube, so that's why I'm like wanting to casually do it, but like that's it. Thanks everybody so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, comment if I've inspired you to do so, and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of my videos. I'll talk to you all next time. Bye!